Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, my friend, to my YouTube channel Drilling and Workover. This is Abdelaziz Gabr. I am accredited instructor in IWCF Well Control and IEDC Well Sharp. Also, I am accredited instructor in IEDC Mod Engineering for Basic and Advanced Mod School. Today, after we have already talked about the mud chemistry, about the polymer chemistry, about the clay chemistry, and we have already, or I have already uploaded the test for water-based mud and for oil-based mud, and we have already done now the test. Okay, now it's your rule, okay, to know what is the results of the test. Now you will act like the doctor. When you go to the doctor for something you are suffering from, he gives you a prescription and okay, he asks you to make a full checkup for example for the blood, for the urine, for everything, and after this you get the result and get him to the doctor, so he will give you the best medicine. Today you will act exactly like the doctor. You will make the test. Okay, you have already made the test. Okay, and now you have the results. So according to the results, you have to make the diagnosis to the problem. Okay, and after this, you will make the treatment. Okay, so please keep or pay attention to me. Very important lesson. Very important lesson, and I cannot exaggerate if I say this is the most important one in all the course. It's the contamination and the how to treat the contamination. So pay note, please write every note that I will talk about today, inshallah. Number one, we will talk about the water-based mud contamination, and after this, inshallah, we will talk about the oil-based mud contamination and troubleshooting for every one of them. Okay? Okay, first of all, what is the meaning of a contaminant? What is the meaning of contaminant? Actually, the contaminant, it's a material which is not desirable in the total formulation of the mud and makes a problem to the mud. For example, if you are dealing with high mud weight, okay, but you have to add, for example, spermazine, which is a thinner, but some fault happened or something happened from the Dirkman or from the Rustabout Busher or something like this, and he added another chemical which is viscosifier like XC polymer, for example, instead of adding spermazine. What will happen? Okay, the mud will make flocculation or it will make great accumulation and it will make a great problem for you. So that how you deal with this? Okay, XC polymer now is called contamination or is called contaminant. But as you know that the XC polymer and in some other chemicals is not in some other mud or in other situations is not a contaminant, but in this case it's called contaminant. Okay. So what's the meaning of contaminants? A contaminant is defined as any undesirable component that causes a detrimental effect when incorporated in the drilling fluid. Any substance that is both undesirable and detrimental, okay, sorry, may be classified as a contaminant. Okay. So what are the contaminants that we are dealing with? The contaminants may come from they may come from where? The contaminants. Okay, they may be from the formation, and this is the most common. Okay, they come from the formation. They may come from the chemicals that you are already make treatment. For example, if you need to make treatment for high calcium, you will add soda ash. Okay, but you just add dose of the soda ash. But if you add too much soda ash, it will make a great problem, another problem, which is the carbonate contamination. So we have to add the only the dose, the required dose or the required treatment. Okay, so number one, they come from the drilled formation. Number two, from water or oil supply. Yeah, for example, if you are asking for or if you make request for potable water or for fresh water to be added, for example, for a spud mud or for a polymer mud or something like this. But this water are coming from source where the calcium environment is very high. So the problem here is from the water. Okay, or maybe also if you are dealing with oil-based mud, maybe from the oil. So this is very important note. If you have some water come to you and you need to use it, you have to check for the water source before you make any test. For example, you have to check for the hardness in order to add the best dose of the soda ash. You have to check for the salinity, okay, because it may be very high salinity, so it cannot be used in the spud mud, for example, or something like this. Also, in the oil or diesel, you have to check for the diesel because it may be, especially for the on the offshore, you have to check for the diesel because it may be mixed with some water or something like this. So you have to make the test of the retort and test of the electric stability for the diesel in order to check for it. So this is the second type in order to get the contaminant. Number three is the material used to formulate and maintain the drilling fluids. As I told you, if you add too much of the soda ash, it will make a great problem for you or for you in as a contamination of the carbonates. How to recognize the contaminants? How can I know that I have a contamination problem? Okay, this can be noticed by some things. Number one, through the fluid properties, you have general instability in the fluid properties. Number one, if you have too much fluid loss, this means, okay, you have a contaminant that makes a problem for the fluid loss reducer, like for example the calcium, okay, or calcium or cement or something like this. Number two, the alkalinity. If the pH is high or low, and for example, if the MF and BF and MF and the BM, if they are very high, this is contamination of carbonates or bicarbonates or cement or high OH or something like this. So the alkalinity, the fluid loss reducer, the fluid loss and the alkalinity. Number three, the rheology. If you have high rheology or low rheology, according to the rheology, you can notice where the problem is. So what are the types of contaminants? Okay, number one, we will talk about the water-based mud contaminants. And to be honest, those with the contaminants that we will talk about, those are the most common, but not all the water-based mud contaminants. Okay, though we will talk about the most common ones. Number one, the types. Number one for the water-based mud, the drilled solids contaminants. The drilled solids make a problem, and if they are active, make a second problem. Okay, so the drilled solids contaminants. Number two, water flow contaminants. Sometimes the contaminations are coming from a flow from the well. Okay, so this is very important. Number three, introduced contaminants, which is something it's not planned. For example, there are some things that are not planned, so they are introduced. For example, like the stuck bill, it is not planned. Okay, so the chemicals of the stuck bill may make problems for the water-based mud or make contamination for it. So they are introduced contaminants. The cement is not planned in the mud. Okay, it's not planned to drill the mud with the cement with the mud. Okay, so it is also called introduced. Seawater is introduced, something of like, okay. Number four, chemically treatable contaminants, which are the most common that we will talk about. Okay, for example, like calcium, like carbonates, like the H2S, like all these types, they are chemically treatable contaminants. So all of these are the contaminants in the water-based mud. So we will talk about each one of them now in detail. Number one, the drilled solid contaminants. Okay, contaminations or contaminants encountered while drilling are called the drilled solids. These drilled solids may be Number one, active solids, like the clay fractions of the shales. Maybe also non-active or inactive solids, like the sand, limestone, and these are the most common. Okay, so they may be active or may be inactive. They may be evaporite salts, especially if you are drilling salt domes, like the sodium chloride NaCl, the potassium chloride KCl, like the calcium chloride CaCl2, like the magnesium chloride MgCl, and anhydride CaCSO4. Okay, so they are the contaminants due to the drilling or due to the drilled solid. Uh, Number one, also some mixed salts add various contaminants. Okay, they are contaminants encountered while drilling water flows. Okay, while we are drilling and we get some water flow, we get kick. Okay, so what are the contaminants that we may get from a water flow? We may get mixed salts at various concentrations. We may get acid gases like carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. We may get some hydrocarbons. Okay, we may get light or heavy oils. Number three, the introduced contaminants, which occurs by accident. It is not planned, as I told you. For example, like the cement, drilling the cement, and as you see, the cement is mainly contains of lime with larger amounts. Okay, so this is the cement. Number two, seawater, which has some mixed salts. The spotting fluids, generally a type of oil. Okay, so spotting fluids like easy spot or something like this. The calcium carbonate. Okay, the bicarbonates. Okay, of NaHCO3, for example, like the soda ash, which is maybe added by wrong. Okay, or added wrongly. Okay. Bacteria also is accidental and it is not planned. Chemically treatable contaminants, which are the most common that we are dealing with, as I told you. Number one is the calcium. Number two is the magnesium. Number three are the soluble carbonates, which is CO3 minus 2. Take care of this. Number four is hydrogen sulfide, H2S. Finally, the bacteria. So we will talk now about the drilled solids, which is the first contaminant today. Solids are unavoidable component of all drilling fluid. This is right because you are drilling, so you get solids. Okay, so it cannot be avoided, but we have to make them as minimum as possible. Okay. Drilled solids are those that are generated as the formation is drilled and they are classified as either cuttings or cavings. A certain percentage of drilled solids is unavoidable due to the several factors. Maybe due to insufficient settling. Okay, so insufficient settling means that there are the settling tank. Okay, you are drilling with high ROB and the settling tank is not enough, so there is no settling time enough for it, so insufficient settling. Number two, inefficient time of the mechanical separation equipment. Okay, like for example, the desander, desalter, the mud degasser, and the centrifuge. Number three, the type of formation being drilled and the type of the drilling fluid being used. For example, if you are drilling in loose sand, so too much solid will be acquired in the mud. If you are drilling with anhydrite and your pH is very low, so it will make leaching to the anhydrite and you will get too much solids. So take care about this. When you get too much solid in the mud, this may be due to the insufficient settling or the mechanical separation has a problem or the type of formation is hard. Shale solids, and this is the first, this is the actual start. The shale solids. Shale solids, it is the dispersed solids are serious contaminations to drilling fluids because of they contain clays. Okay, so what is the problem in clays? No, the problem in clays, they are very active. They are very active and they may make swelling. And once they make swelling, you may get stuck. Okay, this is a problem. But assume that you don't get stuck from this. What will happen due to the clays? Clay will increase the BV, will increase the MBT, will increase the solids. So they will make a great problem for you and will increase also the rheology, especially the gel strength. So once you get shale contamination, or the clay are usually present in the drilling fluid, whether or internal in the condition like the bentonite or incorporated as a drilled solid like cementite or elite or chloride or kaolinite. So what are the methods or techniques to make some solid control over them? Methods of solid control, number one was the settling in the settling tank. Okay. Number two, dilution. Number three, mechanical separation. Number four, by chemical treatment, for example, like the secondary emulsifier in the oil-based mud. Okay, now, for example, if we have a problem, if we got a problem, for example, we have too much calcium, for example, and we need to make treatment. We can add as much as possible of soda ash, for example, or we need to add the possible dose. Actually, we have to add the possible dose or the required dose. Okay, so what is the required dose of the soda ash, for example? All the treatment is done to the mud by using something is called pilot test. Something is called pilot test. What's the meaning of pilot test? Pilot tests are conducted in order to determine the appropriate mud treatment under controlled conditions. For example, you cannot add the chemicals that you want, okay, in the tank. It will make a great problem because these are large amounts, okay. But how you know the possible dose for each one. Actually, the 1 barrel in the system or in the mud pits equals 350 centimeters, cubic centimeters in the Hamilton batch mixer. Okay, in the Hamilton batch mixer, if we add 350 of centimeters of the base fluid, for example, or of the mud, or of the sample of the mud, this means that we are dealing in the laboratory as we are dealing with 1 barrel in the actual system. If we are adding 1 gallon in the actual system or in the bit system, okay, this means that in the lab we have to add 8.33 of cubic centimeters. And if we need to treat with 1 pound, for example, of sansangam, of the lime, of any other chemical, okay, of any chemical that we need to add, we have to make the pilot test for 1 gram on this sample. So these are the numbers that is used for a sample, and this is its actual addition in the bit. Okay, so take care of this. How to make identification to the contaminants. Number one, the solid contamination of the clay or shale. These are the active solids. How can you distinguish them? Number one, you will see that the total solids will increase. If you make the retort before, for example, at the morning, and make the full test again at the evening or at the night. In the morning, the solid percent was low, but at the night you will see that the solid increased. Okay, So this means that you have a solid contamination. It may be clay or shale. Number two, you will see that the MBT will increase. Methylene blue test will increase. For example, in the morning it was 5 and at the night it is 10. So this means also you have a clay or shale problem. Number three, you will notice that there will be a little increase, a little decrease in the alkalinity for BM and BF and MF. Here, sorry, I made for you a table for all the test samples, okay? And I here the blue one, this blue one are the changes that you will notice if you make the test. Sorry. For example, at the 6 o'clock, you make a full test as you see here on all the parameters of the mud. And at the night, for example, you make another test and you will see the difference. You will see that the plastic viscosity increases from 33 to 44, which means that you get some solids in the mud. Number two, you will see the yield slightly increase from 6 to 8. Okay, you will see a progressive gel due to the clay solids. You will see a progressive gel. So the first test it was 6 and 10, but after this you will see 4 and 32. So this means it's a progressive gel, which means that the reading difference between the 10 second and the 10 minutes are very high. Okay, you will see also that the cake thickness, okay, as I told you, the filter cake, it's affected mainly due to the solids in the mud. So you will see that it was 2 millimeters and now it's 4 millimeters. The solid content, it was 16% and it is now 22%. You will see that the MBT was 2.5, but it is now 7.5. So all these give you good indication that the solids are increasing. Okay, so you have to treat the solids. How you make treatment to the clay or the shale? The recommended treatment for them, number one, you have to raise the pH, to increase the pH. So when you increase the pH, the edges of the clay become non-active as it becomes negative, which is inactive, so that we will decrease the clay activity. Sorry, to raise the pH. Number two, to add water at the shakers because you have solids. So you need to make dilution to the solids. How you make dilution to the solids in water-based mud? By adding a base fluid of water. So add water at the shaker. Number three, disperse with thinners, especially sperзine. You disperse the solids with the thinner as they make neutralization for the edges, and they become the repulsive force will be created, and so that they will become thinners. Okay, they will become thinner. Okay. Number four, to maximize the use of solid control equipment. Okay, to get rid of the solids. Number five, add the dissolved lignite or polymer for filtration control. And finally, after adding all these, you have to add barite for desired weight. Why we add barite? For example, if you get rid of solids, the mud weight will be, there will be cut in mud weight. So how can you deal with this cut in mud weight in order not to make a problem for the well control issues? You have to add barite. So you have to add barite. Okay, now we will talk about very important notes about the alkalinity before we are talking about the carbonates and the carbonates and the bicarbonate. Okay, as you see here, we are making, as you know, this is the pH. pH for all the fluids are from pH 1 to pH 14. Okay, At pH equals 7, it's neutral. It's neutral. So there is H and OH. So it's neutral. It's not negative or positive. More than 7, it's alkaline. It's alkaline. So pH equal 8, 9, 10 until the 14. It's alkaline or okay, which means it has OH negative. OH negative groups. And they don't have any H group. Okay, right? Okay. But pH equals 7 is neutral, and after the pH or the lower the pH is pH 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and all these are okay, they are acidic. They are acidic. There is no problem. So this means we have too much of H. Okay, and as I told you that the pH is equals the minus okay, or the log of 1 by h, okay. So this means that any increase in pH from, for example, 8 to 9, it means that it will be 10 point, for example, 10 to the power of 2, 10 to the power of 3, 10 to the power of 4, 10 to the power of 5, and hence, okay. So 10 to the power of 2 or 10 square, okay, 10 cubic or something like this. This means that there is increase, and also here the decrease will be the same here for the or the increase in H positive will be the same here in the acidic environment. Okay, okay, okay. And we have talked about the alkalinity for the pH. Okay, for the BH and the BM and the BF and the MF, okay, that we have talked in the test, we have known that the BH or the phenolphthalein has a pink color in all the BH above, in all the BH above the pH equal 8.3. So at pH equal 8.3, this is the end point. It turns from pink to clear or to transparent or with no color. Okay? So that at pH equal 9, it's pink. At pH equal 10, it's pink. At pH equal 14, it's very pink. Okay? So there is no problem. This is the phenolphthalein. Okay, and we are making titration. How we are making titration? We are making titration by using the H2SO4, the H2SO4, okay, acid. We are making titration with this. So assume, for example, that you make test and see that the pH for the mud equal 10, and you need to know the MF and the BM and the MF, for example. The BM, you will take an example and a sample, and you add some phenolphthalein, and its color will become pink. And after its color becomes pink, you will make titration with H2SO4. So H2SO4 are making here some ionization. This is 2H positive and SO4 is negative 2. So each two of them will take 2 of the OH and make neutralization. So if the pH is 10, for example, they will take from here 2 and then 2, then 2, then 2, then 2 until they finish all the OH, okay, all the negative OH above the 8.3. And at this, okay, pH becomes 8.3 or the phenolphthalein, it becomes, its color turns from the pink and becomes clear, okay, or become colorless. And at this time, BM equal the number of the titrated H2SO4. Okay, there is no problem. And if we need to make the MF, we add on the same sample we add two drops of the methyl orange, and all the color becomes orange. From 8.3 it becomes orange until it passes to 4.3. But how can we pass them from until from 8.3 until they become 4.3? For exactly, we add the same H2SO4. so that there is 2H will attack this OH and this OH and this OH until it finish the OH in the mud and until they finish the OH in the mud. Okay, and then it has to become in each environment. So okay, so it becomes when the pH equal 4.3, this turns from orange and becomes wine red. Becomes wine red. Okay, we have already seen this in the test, no problem. But now we need to know where is the problem. This is exactly the normal test. So where is the problem? Actually, if you have a contamination, if you have a contamination with carbonates, you will see some results. And if you are dealing with bicarbonate, you will see another results. For example, this is the bicarbonate. Okay, it has H ion. Okay, they have ion of H. So this ion of H will attack the OH here, for example, and OH here and OH here, and help the H2SO4 to decrease the titration, so that you will notice that you will have very low, very low MF, very low BF, but you will have high MF. Okay, we will see you have low BF but high MF. So you are now contaminated with the bicarbonates. That's why I told you, because you have already here ion of HCO3, or ion, sorry, of hydrogen. This ion of hydrogen will will need to be neutralized with OH or OH, another OH, another OH. So the usage of this titration, or the usage of this 2H to make titration for the extra OH, will be very little. So the BF will be very little. That is the carbonates, bicarbonates, sorry. What is also but the carbonates, as you see here, okay, the carbonate, it doesn't have ion of H. So all the titration for the BF is coming from the H2SO4 only. So that when you see that there is high BF and high MF, this is carbonates problem. This is a carbonate contamination. Okay, so you have to distinguish between them. For the HCO3 bicarbonate and CO3, this is high BF and this is low BF, and both are high BM. So as I told you, the bicarbonate contamination identification, no calcium for sure, because the carbonate has negative charge. The bicarbonate HCO3 minus, and calcium is Ca plus 2 positive. So there will be no calcium. Okay, in the bicarbonate or carbonate also no calcium is used. So number one, you will get no calcium. Number two, low BF, and I have already discussed it. Also high MF, and I have already discussed it. High BM for sure. Filter rate will increase, and you will see that there is gel strength will increase. So you will ask me, this is a great, you have gel strength. Gel strength is very high. Actually, my friend, this is called a fake gel strength, not right gel strength. You know why? For example, if your mother give to you a cake, okay, to eat, this cake is spongy. Okay, so why it becomes spongy? Why it's mainly from the flour. Why the cake is different than the bread, for example? Because the cake has something is called bicarbonate, powder bicarbonate. So this makes it spongy, but actually it has the same flour, it has the same components, and it doesn't have any other thing more than that. So this is called fake gel strength. Okay, fake progressive gel strength, and so that but it is not a real gel strength. Okay. This is a problem also caused. Why it's caused? It's caused due to the over treatment with the soda ash. The soda ash is the main problem, or also there is a small influx of carbon dioxide gases. So the main problem is usually caused by over treatment with soda ash. Also, it can be caused by pre-treatment system barrier to drilling the cement. We can treat the problem by making pre-treatment with the sodium bicarbonate, but little sodium bicarbonate due to barrier to drilling the cement. Also, it can be caused due to the biodegradation of the polymers like PHPA. Biodegradation of polymers like BHBA also can lead to the bicarbonate problem. Now, how can, for example, these are the results as I told you, and now we will check for it. Number one, as I told you, you will see the gel strength will become very progressive. It's now 3 and 10. Now it's 21 and 49. This is called progressive gel. This is the main problem of the bicarbonate. Number two, filtrate API or filtrate, it will increase. It was 8 and now it becomes 15. Also, the pH will decrease. pH will decrease, as I told you, due to the H hydrogen. Okay, so it was 10.5, it's now 8.8. Alkalinity problems. Okay, it will increase. The BM will increase. It was 1.6 and it becomes 6. Alkalinity filtrate, okay, for the BF and the MF. The BF was 1.2, it becomes decreased. It decreased until 1.1, so it decreased. But the methyl orange or the MF, it was 3.1 and it becomes 5.4. So there is great problem in the alkalinity as you see here. And as I told you, you will see that the calcium becomes zero. The calcium will become zero. How to treat the bicarbonates? Okay, bicarbonates, as I told you, is negative. Okay, has a negative charge. HCO3 minus 1. Okay, so we have to get a product which gives positive charge so that they can combine and they are settled from the system. So the recommended treatment is to increase the pH with lime. Lime is CaCaOH2, okay, so that they will deal with the CaCO3 and makes CaOH2. They will interact with the bicarbonates and there will be a precipitate of CaCO3. It may be necessary to supplement the lime with caustic soda in some examples, no problem. Maintain the calcium to be from 150 to up to 200 milligram per liter as a total hardness. This is very important in order not to get into a carbonate problems. You have to keep some calcium, not too much calcium, but a small amount of calcium is very important. For example, like if you need to eat food. Okay, if you add too much sea salt, it will make a problem for you. But you have just to add 1 spoon or little salt in order to give it a better taste. So this is very important also to maintain some calcium in the mud in order not to get in problem of carbonates. Adding a thinner because you have a progressive gel. Okay, so you have to add some thinners for chemical dispersion of the clays and rheology control. Also, you have to add water for dilution, okay, as you have a progressive gel. Uh, okay, thanks today, my friends, for this lesson. Inshallah, we will continue the same lesson for tomorrow. So please pay attention to everything that we are dealing with and see you later, inshallah, tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye.